let's kick off. So what prompted this was, as I've said to you, I resisted writing this book, but what prompted me in terms of this masterclass and some other things that I've been putting together is, what is the point of writing this if I'm going to do nothing with it? And if I'm going to do nothing with it, I might as well not even have bothered. So this is what launched it. Now I have a corporate marketing background, so I'm used to creating strategy. And so I have, and I do very much love putting together marketing plans and doing strategy. So I've been doing a marketing plan for this, and I just thought it really makes sense to share what I've been doing, but in an easy to consume way, because there's a lot of stuff, and I think that we need to change our mindset. So this is being recorded and it's going to be available for 7 days. I'm going to take the transcript, I'm going to turn it into some content for you, and then you'll get an overview of the 7 pillars and the actions. I have already recorded this. I am very highly organized, and whenever I do a masterclass, I always record it as a class. And so inside the Author's Lounge, which is brand spanking new, I wanted to create something for people to be able to write a book, consuming little blocks of things, but having access to me to be able to ask me questions. So this is the next masterclass. You'll find it in the same place as the previous one, but I will be putting it out there. And this one is going to, if you like, come back a step and really look at how do we map the reader to the book and to this business that we want to create. So I'll let you all know about that. So this is me. I've been doing non-fiction book stuff since about 2013. Because of my marketing background, I do the book to business strategy with my clients. I work one-to-one. I've just told you about the Author's Lounge, and I've always had another part of me, which is my writing to heal, and that's and that has been translated into something called Write from the Wild. So that is enough about me. I think we have a broken model. I think that one of the things that we do when we get a book is we obviously it is wonderful for our egos, our hearts, to have a bestseller. And it seems to me that what many of us do is focus on selling books, selling books, selling books. Now I will hold my hand up and tell you I have done exactly that. So this book, this is a multi-author book. I went into huge competitive mode in terms of launching it. I had bestseller in all kinds of different categories, and I played the system, and it was exhausting, and I really didn't like it. And I ended up feeling very, very burnt out and done nothing with it since. So I think many people follow that as a strategy, and it might work, but for me, it never did. So I want to just invite you to have a look at these seven different pillars that I have put together, and we're going to go through each one, scribble, make notes, and we're going to start with beyond the bestseller. So I've already confessed that I went for rankings over strategy. I really didn't think about the strategy. It was it was definitely an ego thing, and I wanted it. I wanted bestseller status for all of the authors. So personally, I don't think hitting the bestseller list, and also think about this, Amazon is a big online sales platform. They want people to do this. But actually, that doesn't make you successful. It's what else you do. So we want to move beyond that bestseller thing. Honestly, it's fleeting. I worked my butt off to do that, and it just was a massive mistake. What I want to do with this book is build a legacy. Yeah, so the book's a tool. It's a tool to something else. I've been sat today creating a marketing plan. I've already thought about, lots of things to do. And for me, it's so important to do that, think differently. So the badge, as I've said, is for Amazon. Amazon want you to do this. They're a shop. Strategy is for you. So, like I said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a bestseller. In fact, some book coaches advise you that when you create your book cover, you create two, and one has bestseller on it. I can tell you, I've got a piece of software. I can work out what categories to put my book in. So if I sold 5 books, I'd be a bestseller. So it's not really a strategy, but I've done it. Now I'm going to use Denise Duffield Thomas as my case study. I don't know her. I've never bought any of her programs, but I bought her books and I admire her greatly. I think she has done an incredible job of building a movement around money mindset. And if you know her, you'll know that she's got an amazing community of courses and coaching and all sorts. And I do know people that have bought her stuff and adore her. So she's a great case study, and we'll use her throughout. So we want to think of what that strategic alternative is. So don't optimize for 1 or 2 week performance. Build your system so that you've got things that will sustain you. So you can keep coming back and going to the book and saying, what can I create from this? What is going to help me create a legacy or a movement or build a business? Think strategically. Now, I've got some actions. You don't need to write them down. I'm going to skip over the actions because I'm going to give you all of the actions. They're just little things to think about. So things like, defining your success, thinking about impact over ranking. So you'll see these action slides, but I am going to move on, and you will get all of the actions with all of the info. Oh, hang on, I've got to let somebody in. Jessica is back in the room. So beyond bestseller, in a nutshell, can be hard work. It's not sustainable, and we really want to think about how do we turn our book into something that is beyond 1 or 2 weeks. So book launches, again, I've already said I'm doing a soft launch on November the 1st, and then I am going to relaunch in February, and I can't remember the date. But if we put all our energy into a launch, and this may only be true for me, it's so tiring. So we push everything into a launch, and then there's silence. And often then it's like, well, if I don't nail this, the mindset goes, well, I'm not good enough, this didn't work, why am I doing it? And I think it's really important that instead what we do is create maybe a 12 or longer marketing roadmap. Now, right at the very end of this, I'll just share with you something. You may well have heard of the business model canvas by a company called Strategizer. I can never pronounce, I think his first name is Alexander. I can't pronounce his surname, or at least I can't remember off the top of my head. So I've taken that and created a book marketing strategy canvas. So you'll be able to download that off my website and start to think a lot more strategically around how do we go beyond that first week. So we've got over thinking I've got to be a bestseller, and do it. If that feels good to you, absolutely do it. But we want to go beyond that. That launch is the beginning of a roadmap that is going to create impact and income for you. And when we think about it strategically and market with intention, then we get better results. So I think launch week to me feels a bit like, we're all dressed up going to some big movie opening. It's kind of like a make or break thing. These are my opinions. I think that is counterproductive. Yes, we want to launch the book, but we want to think beyond that. So I've actually put these in the wrong order of her publication dates. I've read Chillpreneur, or at least I listened to Chillpreneur, but she's got these books sell, they keep selling, but she's got evergreen funnels that keep them alive. And if you think about it, these books are an onboarding strategy. You get the book, you think, oh, I like her, I'll go and see what else she's doing. And then that moves people into her funnel. So you can do the money archetypes quiz, which I have done, can't remember my archetypes. And then that will just keep moving you through to different programs. So the book is potentially the top of your funnel. So what you may well find is people will buy your book during launch week. So I know when this was launched, people did buy it, but I also know from a particular person, I haven't talked to lots and lots of people, but I know from someone who is a counsellor, she recommends all her clients buy that book because of the self-help stuff that's in it. So yes, during launch week, you will sell books, but many of your, if I call them reader clients, will buy the book later because of the different things that will attract them to you. Word of mouth, they might find you on the internet, so all sorts of other things. So once they have discovered you in a different way, they are more likely to not only buy the book, but actually read it. Because what you often find is during launch week, and I'll probably do the same, is you ask all your mates to buy it, so please buy my book. And they'll buy it, but won't necessarily read it. So we want people to discover us through different outlets. I've been writing a marketing plan today. So I will be doing lots of organic social sharing, for example, and that's why I'm going to do another launch in February. So we just want to think, how do I get to more people beyond that first initial, I'm going to call it the burnout launch. So we want to design a system that creates that consistent discovery and sales over time. So it's not just about the book, it's what else can I take from this person because they've written a book that I love. So we have some actions. I'm not expecting you to write a 12-month calendar, but if you get the book marketing strategy canvas, you could sit with each of those boxes. Don't use AI, use your brain first, and just sit with a big sheet of paper and brainstorm, and you will get ideas out of that. So when you have done that, then you can come back and think about what those opportunities are to gain visibility. I truly believe that we need that strategic plan up front. And I know thinking about strategy is sometimes like, no, I'd just rather do tactics. But just take some time and brainstorm and then think, right, how do I create an ongoing campaign and keep it simple? I started doing my marketing plan, and I have one of those very creative brains that goes, oh, I could do all of these things. And then all of a sudden I had a little bit of meltdown. I was like, no, I can do this at the top of the funnel, that at the bottom, and a couple of bits in the middle. Perfect. So really get all those ideas out, but then come back and reflect on it. Really reflect on all the things you've scribbled down, leave it, don't come back to it until you're ready to say, like, and do you know, really feel it in your body. So when you're looking at something, so my brain goes 1,000 miles an hour. When I come back and look at things, I think, how does that feel to me? Is that going to take all of my energy? And if it is, I'm not going to do it. So I just talked about tactics. So often what we do, and I sat there this morning with my journal, scribbling down tactics, thinking about content pillars. But in fairness to me, I have been doing my strategic plan. So I just scribbled some notes down and I've left it. But if you do that on a regular basis, like completely random tactics, oh, today I'm going to do a TikTok. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to go and do a reel. The day after I'm going to do this. It doesn't fit in the plan. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with randomness. I love a bit of randomness. I like to plan first, and I think it's okay. But if you haven't got the strategy first, the randomness isn't going to work. And what you often find, if you do go onto things like TikTok and Instagram, people say, oh, if you've got a book, you've got to do this tactic. No, 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 no. Start with a strategy and then look at your tactics. So, you might be lucky to get that one viral post that hits 1 million people from a bit of randomness. You could be, but think like a strategist. Every move should serve that bigger plan. And you don't have to write a great big plan out. Just use that canvas, map it in some way, just get your thoughts in order, and then work like a strategist. Now, a pantser, in case anyone's wondering, when I do anything, I plan things strategically. When I did this, I planned it. Now, my mum also writes. She's written 6 books. She completely pantses every single one of her books. She just goes, oh, I think I'd like to write a book on. And she just starts writing. And then every once in a while she go, I don't know where to go next. And we'll end up having a conversation. A pantser doesn't plan. And it's worked for my mum. I have no idea how, but her brain works, and she's writing novels, works beautifully as a pantser. Mine doesn't. I need that. I need that strategy. So like I said, you may have a viral interpretive dance on TikTok about your book, and everyone goes, oh my goodness, I love it. And you get visibility that way. It's a spike. I've known people to in fact, someone just comes to mind. They did something on Instagram, it went wild, but they haven't had wild since. So that strategy gives you really good staying power, because if you do go off on a tangent, which is something I do, I always come back to my strategy and go, what does my strategy say? How does it feel in my body? So with Denise, she has, like, everything for her is timeless. That's how I feel about it. It's like, and she might not have started off with that strategy and that timeless feel, but she has some really a couple of key concepts that drive everything. So for her, it always comes back to those core principles. And if you go to her website and you look at how it's constructed, everything works, even when she's on holiday and sleeping and taking the kids to school or whatever she's doing, it works because she has these core principles that work all the way through her business. She's a wonderful, wonderful case study. I've been through her. I've looked at several different people's websites for the case study for this, and I chose her because, I have consumed her content. I've already said you can go onto TikTok and there'll be someone being a book marketing guru who will say to you, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. I'm on LinkedIn. I saw a post yesterday. I can't remember what most of it said, and it said post carousels on LinkedIn for massive reach. All in the comments, oh, better go back to doing my carousels. Well, what happened to your strategy? Yeah. So think about the strategy as opposed to that latest hack. Now, the latest hack may be great, it might fit in with what you've got, and that's fine. But you'll find people doing this all the time. This is how you reach people. Do this thing. Buy my ebook that tells you how to do this in 3 steps. Come back to your strategy every single time. So tactics are not bad. I mean, that post that I saw, apparently it came directly from LinkedIn that they're loving carousels. So it's not a bad thing, but it's temporary because someone's going to change an algorithm and something will change, and we need that consistency. And maybe if everyone's doing it, it might stop working. Who knows? And all of these tactics are disconnected. So do a TikTok dance over here and do a thingy over there and a YouTube video here. They're all just random. Come back to strategy. So have a framework that guides those tactical decisions. And for me, the book marketing canvas is a great framework. It works for me. I also have a book proposal template, which that really focuses your mind in terms of a much more structured marketing plan. So a different approach, but the book canvas is great. And I do want you to think about these questions. Is what I'm doing, so first of all, obviously, we have to be where our ideal reader is, which means we have to know who they are and beyond their pain points, what is going to inspire them. So where are they? Does it serve my ideal reader for me to do this? What's my core message? And does this align with my core message? Does it fit with my chosen channels? We can't be everywhere all of the time. Does it support your revenue goals? So you're building the plan. You may or may not make money from your book. If it goes onto Amazon, you'll get more on an ebook than you will on a print book. So, even if you sell thousands, you're not going to make a huge amount of money. The revenue will come from the other things, and clearly we need to have a plan for that. This question, is it sustainable for my resources? Now, I said earlier about energy. So I had started off with this massive thing of ideas. And when I looked at some of them, I really felt it in my body that I can't do that. I don't have the energetic capacity to do that and all these other things. So is it sustainable? Will it burn you out? Do you even enjoy doing it? If you love group sessions and masterclasses, fantastic. But if you don't and you start it, you could find yourself just feeling very, very weary. So have a think of those questions. And, even if a tactic is apparently proven by a guru, really come back to that overall strategy. But think about all of these 5 questions. And if there isn't a yes to all of them, then don't do it. Unless, of course, someone has a crystal ball and has guaranteed that you will make a lot from it. So, in terms of actions, now this applies to your business outside of your book anyway, and again, I haven't read the chat, so I don't know where you are with your book, but if you're doing any kind of marketing now, scribble down what you're doing and does it work? And answer it against those 5 questions and be absolutely ruthless. Now, I can hold my hand up and say, I haven't been ruthless in the past. If I think, a long time ago, I, I wanted to be everywhere and do all kinds of stuff because it fed this creative thing that was burning inside of me. Now, I think it's probably because I've got just a little bit older. Now, when I look at it, I just think, "Oh, I haven't got the energy for that." So I really am ruthless. It's like, does it fit my strategic plan, my thinking? And if it doesn't align, and it's just going to take my energy, I'm not going to do it. So just constantly evaluate. Even when we built a plan, things are going to change. So you might build a plan and something will change. You go back, you change the plan, and then you relook and go, do these things align? It just makes sense. I'm going to breathe and take a sip of water. Give me 2 secs. Mm. The next pillar is beyond the shop front. We need to own our own audience. So when we sell these books on Amazon, guess who owns the data? Well, it's going to be Amazon, isn't it? That they are a massive retailer. Any of the online retail businesses own the client. We don't know who they are. And just a tip for anybody hasn't written their book yet. One of the things you can do early on in your book is give something away with a little link, because on Amazon people can do look inside, so they'll come and they might look at your table of contents and just have a little squidge, and they can download a sample, and in that sample there should be a link to something free. People love free things, so you can collect potential readers and clients that way, but everything belongs to Amazon. And you'll get Amazon, if you go to Amazon, it can be any shop front, they've always got sponsored ads. Well, they want you to spend their money on that. And there are people who sell courses on how to master that algorithm. I have never worked it out personally. And what we want to do, the beyond the shop front, is we want that direct relationship with our readers. And that doesn't mean you have to sell your books off your website. Still use Amazon, still use Barnes and Noble. There are lots and lots of different ways that you can put your book out into the world. So it's just a window into being able to sell your book. And like I said, there are things that you can do to get people to click through when even when they're just looking at it on Amazon. So we want to build that direct relationship. And with all the will in the world, all the social media platforms you have, your email list is your most valuable asset. So we want to get people to sign up for things. So if you think about Denise, they might buy a book. There'll be something in the book that you can have for free. So her money archetypes quiz, and into the funnel they go. So we want to do that. And there she is. So the way that Denise works is she'll take the reader, and somebody might just buy one thing, in which case they are just a customer. But her whole philosophy is how do I get these people to become long-term clients? So the book leads to the opt-in. So she'll have something in a book that you can get for free. She's got courses and coaching and all sorts of stuff. She owns the relationship. Yes, people buy her books off Amazon, but she brings them into her community and she owns the relationship. So what she's got, I have no idea how much money she makes. I've done some Google searches and stuff, but you never know, because obviously we don't have privy to her accounts. But she has a great business model, and it's scalable. She can keep bringing out new things because she has this strategy, because she has a pool of clients. So we want to go from readers to clients. So I said this already, Amazon owns this. I mean, you might get one of those emails that says, here's a recommended book. I mean, I've had emails off Amazon that recommended one of my books, and it's like, you've you've got it wrong. So they control all of this. We don't. And we want to take back that control. So think about how we can move beyond how they communicate with us. Go on to Amazon. If you haven't written your book yet, if you go on to Amazon, reader reviews are worth their weight in gold. But Amazon plays with those. Yeah. Reader reviews will give you some amazing information about what might be missing from a book, what people thought about it, and it really helps you in shaping your book. But they control that. They control what you see. They're control freaks. And it's not, I really, I want to say, I'm not criticizing Amazon. My goodness me. I mean, an amazing business model. And that's true for all of the online retailers. But they're there to make money. They're made to make money off us, just like we want to make money off our clients. But they optimize for the stakeholders in their business. So it's not about you, it's about them, and it's about anyone who may have invested in your business. And they don't care about your long-term success, but you should. It's really, I'm going to say the important word again. So build channels, what we call owned channels, alongside those rented ones. So don't dismiss Amazon. I know a lot of people really, really hate Amazon, but it's a place to put your book. Lots of people go there, so you wouldn't want to miss that opportunity. So an owned channel is your email list, your website, your blog. Maybe if you have a Substack or something like that, you own what is the people that subscribe to you. And platforms that you kind of semi-control, things like your podcast and YouTube and social media communities. But remember that obviously the social media gods often change the algorithms. Anybody who's using LinkedIn and Facebook and things like that, we are constantly whinging that, posts don't get reach and stuff like that. So we kind of semi-own those things. But your email list and your website is something that you own. And then your rented channels. We talked about Amazon. We don't own social media reach. We don't control the algorithm, and anyone who tells you that they know the algorithm is probably telling you a porky. So we don't control these things. Media coverage. I remember years and years and years, donkey's years ago, I had a company called Real Life Solutions, and I sold fertility test kits for men. So I licensed a product of somebody. So I'm big into health and wellness, and I kind of fell into it. And oh my goodness me, everything went wild. My products were on Richard and Judy. I mean, it was completely mental. And then the local Swansea newspaper got hold of me, because I work for an IT company as well. And they got hold of me and they interviewed me. And at no point did I say I was going to get pregnant and leave the company I work for. But that's what they printed in the newspaper, that I was planning to have a large family. I had no children at all, planning to have a large family and leave my company. They made it up. So we are at their mercy to a certain extent. So most successful people, like I said, take something from the rented channel and drive it to our own. So think about your marketing efforts and think about that kind of balance that you want to create, so that you own the relationship with the people who are interested in your book, interested in your services, and interested in working with you. Okay. So, have an audit of your current marketing channels. And this is quite an important or quite an interesting thing, because just because we post and people don't comment doesn't mean to say they haven't noticed. But really look at the effort that you're putting in. I'm in a number of book groups. Admittedly, most of them are writing novels, but they are so frustrated about trying to beat the Amazon algorithm, and all their effort is going into that bestseller status because they want to sell their novels. And I know it's very difficult to take a novel and build a list, but it's not impossible. So we want to think about, how do we shift that balance so that we put more of our effort into bringing people to us as opposed to pushing them to somewhere like Amazon. Okay, time for some more water. So our next pillar is beyond visibility. So we think that visibility equals sales. Got to get my book in front of as many people as possible. So think about how we constructively use media and partnerships and different kinds of platforms to scale our visibility. So we get in front of the right people. I don't know if anyone can hear, but Marley, I got 3 dogs. She's snoring away like a train. I don't know if you can hear it, but I certainly can. So we want to leverage people who can help us to build that visibility. So if we don't have that clarity on who we can work with, then again, we're kind of heading for that burnout thing. So we want to focus on that resonance, that energy. So how do we connect with the right people? How do we leverage the right kind of partnerships to help us go beyond those book charts that we seem to love? Again, I'll go back to the Rebirth book. For me, it was book chart, book chart, book chart, as opposed to my message where it matters. And it was a big fat lesson that I'm not going to repeat. So I think visibility is about, being seen, getting our book in front of people, more people knowing that it exists. Amplification is people read it, love it, share it, tell other people about their ideas. People have conversations around what you're doing, you're partnering with other people, and you have concepts that become part of an industry, part of a conversation, part of something that ignites debate. Now, not everybody's book is going to do that, but that should be our aim. How do we get our concepts that are uniquely different? They're ours. How do we get them in front of other people? Well, really what we want to do is get people to marry us, if you like. Now, we can't walk too many people down the aisle, but we want people to, I was going to say get in bed with us, but we still don't want lots of people in our beds. We want to work with the right people who will help us to share that message in a really good, positive, focused way. So you think about Denise DT. My goodness me, she's in so many different places. So she has her own podcast. She's on other people's podcasts. She gets featured in the media and on radio and in the news and all sorts of stuff. Excuse me. She has absolute clarity on her message, money mindset. And, it's made her unforgettable. When many people, not everybody, thinks about money mindset, they think about her, and that converts. That puts people into her funnel and into a business where they become clients. And like I said earlier, I have got friends who have worked in her masterminds and her programs and adore her. So she's made her message media worthy. So people are talking about it. I mean, I don't know, you might do, I don't know any other system for money that has an archetype. I don't, but you may do. So again, the key message here is visibility is okay, but don't focus all your energy on how do I make sure I get more reviews. Reviews are fantastic, but often people will read your book and they'll forget to do a review. I forget to do reviews on books that I've read. And when I realize I haven't done it and I go back and do it, I often feel what a shame for the author that I didn't do it, immediately when it was, super fresh in my mind. I remember reading Where the Crawdads Sing, and it made such an impact on me. I literally well, I listened to it, but took the earphones out, and I went straight on Amazon and left a review. But that's, you're not going to be able to force people to give you reviews. These are tactics. These are all tactics. What we want to do is, how do we make our ideas shareable? And how do I get other people referencing those concepts? Now, something that you might think about is, how do I take something from my book and then maybe turn it into a program for facilitators? So you've got whatever the book is about, it fits in with your coaching and your programs. Now, I'm specifically thinking here, and I don't think this person has written a book, but there's something called Heart Healing, and her name completely escapes me. And she created this thing. She's from Wales. Honestly can't remember her name, but if you look up Heart Healing, she now gets people onto her programs to become heart healers. So they take her concepts and then they go out and use that within their business. So how do I take my book, link that into my coaching, and if it were relevant to you, how do I then turn that into a program that I can teach facilitators who will keep spreading that message? And Heart Healing, everybody I know who has done that course raves about it, talks about it, and that helps to build that funnel and get people back in. But I don't think she's written a book, but she's done very well. So how do you become that kind of go-to resource on your particular topic? And it just makes you think a little differently about your book. And some of that might not be relevant to you. You might not want to do that, but there must be something in your book, that core message, that thing that really will help you get in front of more people and get them to start sharing it, to start talking about those concepts. You'll be sitting there thinking, oh no, I've planned my book out and I don't know what that bit is. Don't worry about it. It'll come through a dream tonight, I'm sure. So to steal a phrase off somebody else, create ideas worth spreading, not just books worth buying. So that's where we want to start thinking. And, when you think about the world of advertising, people need to see your message a number of times. So what are those key messages that we want to keep saying that people go, oh, yeah, that, and it just it sticks in their mind like an earworm. So that's where we want to get to. So we need a memorable framework so that others can reference and teach if that's what we want, or quotable insights that get shared by other people. I mean, look at the number of quote websites there are. When I was doing, when I was doing an MBA years and years and years ago, I must have had stacks of business books. And of course, you would go to the business book and you would find a quote to put in your dissertation. I mean, obviously, things have moved on. That was a few years ago. But, think about all those quote websites. When we want to have a quote about something, we will go and look and go, they're a famous person. That is a quotable insight. We want people to do that from our work so that they're sharing that real wisdom that we've got with other people, and they put it in their presentations and their articles with reference back to us, of course. So practical tools. So my book is a mix of memoir and a process that I've called Right from the Wild. It's a practical tool. Or maybe you've got some perspectives that kind of go against the grain that always spark meaningful debate. Now, I say this one with caution because we have a lot of keyboard warriors out there, and we may end up people saying things that we don't like. But you may be that kind of person that is just water off a duck's back. So again, think about how do we create other tools from the content we create so that we're again, drawing people into us so they take our stuff and tell other people. Now, I haven't looked at the chat yet. I don't know where your book is, but for me, when we create a book, we have kind of core concepts or frameworks and things like that. So what is that? What's that core concept that you are teaching? Can you package it in some way that others can reference and share and build upon? Yeah. And I was just going to say someone's book, and it completely has gone out of my mind, but it's a Something Steps book. And you'll know it, it's very famous, but obviously you can't see inside my mind. But you think about people who have had their books out for many, many, many years with core concepts. People reference them all the time. Now, the concept I'm thinking of, one of the concepts, I think it's concept number 2, is start with the end in mind. So somebody will tell me what that book is, and I literally can't remember. It's gone out of my head. So this step is have
Seven habits of effective
that's it.
people.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. I can very much see that. I was sat here and I'm thinking I can see the book cover, but I can't see the words. Okay. Beyond metrics. I know when I was a marketing manager, oh my goodness me, everyone obsessed about numbers, 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 numbers all the time. If I get more likes and followers, and I sell more books and more reviews. Yes, it's important that people see your work, like your work, and stuff like that. But if we change it to the energy, how the readers feel about it and any community growth, that's where we're going to measure success. So we want to move away from those numbers. I never ever want to go back to having to do business dashboards and things like that ever again. So the charts position, it doesn't equal impact. And it might do for some of the really, really big guys that got a big publishing house behind them. I'm guessing most of us don't, I don't know. But think about their transformation and how you are helping people to move forward in their life and how that builds your community. So for me, it's about a movement. I do have spreadsheets, but it doesn't have like numbers of followers and stuff like that. But we want to build a movement, a legacy, something that people are going to remember us for. So measure what moves people. Think about when people go, I have read your book and it's changed my life, as opposed to 10 people liked my post. For me, 10 people like my post. Yeah, that's great. That's very nice. 1,000 people like it. I'm like, wow. But if someone says to me, something I have done has changed their life, I can feel it in my heart. It's such a different feeling. And I just invite you to think about, what do you want? Do you want to feel happy because you got great, lots and lots of followers? Yes, that can turn into book sales and business sales and stuff like that. But start to think about, how has this helped people? And how do I feel when they tell me that something has changed in their life because of me? And again, you can go onto Denise's website and you can see how her stuff has changed people's lives. So I used to be in Tash's group. She is an Australian lady and she ran a group for a very, very long time. And she was part of Denise's program that she ran. So she learned a lot of stuff from Denise about how to build that community. So for Denise, again, it's going to be, yeah, I mean, she is, a very wealthy lady based on what she's done. She shouldn't start like that, but she's celebrating transformation. She changes people's lives all the time. So let's move away from the seduction of a million followers. Um, they don't tell the full story. So we want to change that thinking. And, I can say that, you might have a post with 1,000 likes or 5,000 likes. It doesn't mean someone's going to buy your book. You will get book sales. I mean, I'm sure you will. But if you went on a podcast and people feel your energy, people then will go, oh, I quite like that. They'll go to your website, they'll find you, they'll find your book, they'll buy your book, they'll read your book, and they'll start to consume your content. And that could build up your clients for you. So think differently. We don't want those surface level stats. What we want is, how do we create impact? How do we get income from it? Measure what matters. So I think I've just said that. So we want to track things that reflect that engagement, that transformation, that trust. There's somebody called Susan Payton. She has a book called The Business of Stories, and she has done all of this. She's another person who's done all of this really, really well. And she has built communities and people are getting transformation all the time. And they absolutely trust her that she will help them write the right stories to bring people into them. So she gets great engagement, great transformation because people trust what she's done. And it all started, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago with a very small book that talked about business storytelling. So for her, for Denise, for many of us, it's like, how do we measure that emotional impact that we've made? Yeah. People replying to your emails, click-through rates, stuff like that. We have the book, we drive them to us, people help to amplify our message, and then people consume our content in some way that we have created based on our book, and it's transformed their lives. And that is such a great feeling, such a great feeling. When I think about the Rebirth book and someone said to me, all my clients buy your book, I was like, oh, you feel really, really humble, really, really humbled. So you'll get invitations to speak, collaborate, consult. People will want you on their podcast. You'll get new subscribers, greater open rates and stuff like that. So really think about the impact and the transformation that you want to make. So choose metrics that reflect that depth rather than the vanity. And I know we all love to have like lots of likes and things like that, but celebrate those things. Celebrate that people are loving what they're consuming from you. Because if you write a book with these things in mind, then you're going to write, I believe, a better book. Okay, beyond identity, our last one. We're here to change the world, shift humanity. So, I've written a book, that's one mindset, but I've created a business that changes the way people think. Yeah. I run a business powered by my ideas. The book is the beginning, not the end. So really start thinking about, how do I build a business powered by my ideas that I have condensed into a book? And the book is just part of that. Again, Denise, here are some of the things that she does. And her book is just one part of this big ecosystem. And she leads with her values and that vision that has really helped to take her from, I think when I read in Chillpreneur, she's a serial entrepreneur. I can't remember half the jobs that she did, but she did all kinds of things. And then she did this, and it is a true reflection of her heart and soul. So we want to move beyond the, I've got a book, to, this is me, and we need to step into that role. It's not a standalone product. It is the foundation of lots of other things. I really, implore you to think about this. This is a strategic asset. This is the doorway to many, many other things. So build your business model around your book. Okay. So, think about how you extend your book's messages. What kind do you want to do courses, coaching, consulting? Do you want a big membership? What do you want? But always come back to your values, your voice, the things that really matter to you. So, think about, how do I lead a movement? And a movement it doesn't have to be global. It doesn't have to have millions of members. It could have 100, it could have 500. It's from your heart and soul. Okay. So I'm really curious if you can think of what your business could become. Stick it in the chat for me. I'd really love to see if there's any ideas percolating right now. Okay. So I'm just going to whiz through that. Integrating the 7 models, we want to bring all of that together. So we want to go beyond bestseller, beyond the launch, beyond tactics, shopfront visibility, metrics, and identity. So eventually we step into this role as a brand ambassador for the key messages that come out of our book. Okay, so start thinking about someone who wants to create a legacy. So again, I haven't seen the chat, so I don't know where you are, but anything stood out to you? What's something you're going to stop doing that you're doing? And something that you're going to something you start to think about. So I've talked about the Author's Lounge. I'm launching it at $9 a month. All of those things that you see in that screen are already live. There's going to be a monthly Q&A. There's going to be networking, masterclasses. And the price will go up at some point in the future, but right now I'm focusing on my book. I'm working with some book clients, and I'd really love people to be able to write books and build businesses. Hence, I've put lots and lots of content in here so that, it's an easier way for people to consume content and write really brilliant books and get them out there. So all of that stuff's going to be in there. And this is the thing that I would invite you to download. So it's on my website, and just get a big sheet of A3 paper and just go through the boxes in any order you like. Just brainstorm stuff. Get it out of your head and think about, what will I do next to create that strategic plan? And phew, we are at the end.